could you also come here? There are some questions for the first speakers here. Which may or may not appear on screen.
Credit sharing causes inequality. Well, it's up to the individual whether he wants to share that data with the bank. He doesn't have to. He can improve his credit rating by the bank giving them ideas and tips on how to do that. And then and only then would they share the data with the bank if they wanted to. So I don't think there's any inequality there.
Actually, sorry, can I just pick up on that as well? I think that the concept, I used to work at Visa, so credit ratings and feeding into credit agencies is something that I've had some experience with. And I actually think that the current model is broken. Because if you take something like a credit agency, the only thing that they've got visibility of is what I do in traditional style credit. But nowadays, with open source crowdfunding, with all of the different places we can get credit, with the new commercial models, there's a multitude of different ways that I can prove that I'm actually good to be lent money. But I'm moving my money out of the traditional institutions, which is the only place that the lenders are actually looking at the moment. So you've got somebody like my daughter who has no previous credit history, earns a fantastic salary, has a great ability to be affordability to be able to buy a house, but cannot get a home loan because the credit agency says no. She's got no credit history. So I think that with my data, if she could share the fact that she's paid off a car in the past and she's paid back some loans to friends and family that she's borrowed, she's made a big dent in her student loan, I actually think that the ability to be able to share your data from your choice of curated sources will actually redress some of the inequality which at the moment credit is only geared towards those people who are creditworthy. In traditional sense.
All right, can we have the next question, please?
What if better, how? What do you recommend?
What do you recommend to the traditional institution like bank or operator? How should they change in order to take active role in tradition? I think that's for you also.
The way that we approach it is quite simple. We don't know the strategy of all the banks. We can't, and we're not experts in the bank area. But what we generally tend to do is to suggest a workshop where we start exploring the different areas that you should be looking at, talking about your strategy with regards to personal data, and then we start paring down, and we start the very simplest, smallest solution, small steps, and that's where we start, and we go through a process for onboarding.
Yeah, I would like to add that there is one bank hosting a hackathon downstairs. They are taking initiative, and also you can remind banks that there is legislation coming which forces them to open up their APIs, so that could be a good incentive. Are there any more questions?
Sorry, there's also one other very strong thing there. Banks view the data as their data. That's wrong. It's their customers' data. And it's a message that I've been trying to push now for about 8 years in banks, saying it's not your data. You've got no right to that data, and European law is going to force that. The first conversation that I ever get involved with in a bank is where they say, we've got all this data, how can we make money off it? And I go, it's not yours to make money off. Make your customers happy and the money will flow. So if they can figure out how to improve the service to the customer, and one of the ways is they can just simply give the data back. And if they could be seen as a trusted source of information, validated, verified, authenticated information, given back to their own customers, the money will flow anyway. But they must stop thinking first, I've got this data, how do I make money off it? Because that's a losing policy.
Yeah. Was there more questions? Yeah, self-tracking can be a hobby, but how popular hobby? Well, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I know that there are many services in the internet, many apps available for that, and they have lots of users. The apps have lots of downloads in the App Store. But I think most people currently doing some kind of self-tracking are using either very easy ways of doing it, or then they are using Excel or spreadsheets and kind of tracking the things important to them. But I think the point is that nowadays, if you don't need to have million people or billions of people doing self-tracking as a hobby for it to be kind of meaningful. You maybe need 20,000 people who want to do it, and also already then you can build some kind of ecosystem of tracking devices and services which enable these correlations and stuff like that. So I think it's up to each and every one of us to decide whether tracking this information is important for us and what are the questions we want to quantify and see answers to.